What's up, guys? I'm D Coney, and today we're doing my first movie review. And what movie are we reviewing? None other than my favorite hero, Spider-Man. I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I'm just gonna put it out there like that. I am a huge Spider-Man fan. I mean, I have all of the movies. I've got posters everywhere in my man cave. I can draw Spider-Man in my sleep. Been drawing him since I was a little boy. I mean, it was Turtles, Batman, and then Spider-Man. Never look back. I got Spider-Man toys. I'm talking about played with Spider-Man toys. I still have my childhood played with Spider-Man toys. Collectibles, you supposed to collect them. But how many of y'all still got your played with toys? I'm so much of a fan. I got Spider-Man on my ceiling. About 85% of what we're going to talk about, you already have seen in the trailer or content that's readily out there. So no spoilers. But starting out with the good, let's actually just jump into it. Man, Michael Keaton, man. Michael Keaton, he's Batman. He's got that swag. He's got that calm.
Understand, I'll do anything to protect my family. I know you know what I'm talking about.
From back in the days with Tim Burton, he was always so cool as Batman. He brings the same energy to being Adrian Toomes. I felt like this movie was pretty light as far as being, as far as the seriousness. It was very light, very aimed towards kids. We'll talk about that later. But I think what got its PG-13 check mark, if you will, is that Michael Keaton brought the noise. When you knew Keaton was on the screen, some shit was about to get fucked up. Great job, Michael Keaton. I love how they made him make sense. The Vulture's wings made sense, and they gave shine to, you know, the original series and the comic book with the fur around the neck with the jacket versus the suit, and then the wings and the wingspan. Of course, Robert Downey Jr. It's always cool to see Spider-Man with Tony Stark, Iron Man, which we all are really excited about. Finally, Spider-Man is with the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know, because Spider-Man has, in the movie scene, had to stand on his own for so long. It's like, dang, can I get some love? Can I get some people to help out? You know, all y'all fools in New York and y'all can't help out? You know, Tom Holland, let's, you know, shout out to Tom Holland for what he actually was given. He did a good job. I mean, I was really happy to see that he came into the role very open, very aggressive. You gotta give that shine to actors because they don't make the films. They just act the part. Salute Tom. Now, the bad. Pretty much everything else. I wasn't a fan of this movie. I'm just gonna put it out there. I didn't like it. And that's not because I'm just a huge Spider-Man fan. I am that. Definitely am that. But, you know, I really take Spider-Man serious because I agree with something that Stan Lee said. Spider-Man is one of the most, you know, identifiable characters for the mass majority of people. You know, he has that burden of a great responsibility thrown on him as a regular kid, given to him from these powers, and that check of him losing his uncle and having to have that always be his anchor just is something that people can identify with, you know? And I feel like this movie was missing that component. This movie, Spider-Man, was more so Tony Stark's creation. He was more so Tony Stark's baby, if you will. As we saw in Civil War, the only one that really stuck out for him. And you see a lot more of that unraveling in this movie. But, you know, I didn't really like the liberties that they took with it because it didn't feel like Spider-Man when I was watching it. I felt like this was another character or maybe an alternate Spider-Man from an alternate universe, but it did not feel like Peter Parker. I really felt like Falcon in Civil War. Where did you find this kid from? This is way too young. And yo, where was Spider-Sense in this movie? Look for it and tell me. Second point that I didn't really like was he didn't know what the hell he was doing the whole movie. Instead of just springing into action like Spider-Man does and does his amazing Spider-Man thing, this fool was definitely just a homecoming nerd, like for real. Like every scene, oh no, oh man, Mr. Stark, wait. He didn't know what he was doing the whole movie. Like really? The whole new suit, new direction, coming from Tony Stark. That was exciting. But I felt like, piggybacking on my last point, that it was too much focus on the suit. In the comics and the other adaptations, Spider-Man, Peter Parker created his own suit. That also brought a grounding to the character. Like, yo, I made this, yo. I don't have no fancy tailor. I don't have no artificial intelligence program to create me something. But I made the suit. And I washed that boy. I sewed that boy up. And it kept Spider-Man grounded. My whole point is, no cool web slinging. How? How in the world do you have a Spider-Man movie without cool web slinging city shots or sequences? Point is, they gave us Spider-Man no cool city swinging. He never was in his right. Okay, so now you got this developed Spider-Man, or he's enough Spider-Man to give the suit and try to introduce to this group, but he's not even Spider-Man. Like, who is this clown? I feel like this is another Spider-Man from another universe. When you take these liberties and change these parts of movies, especially superhero movies, because they're so loved by the audience, I always feel that you have to bring back the foundation of why we love the characters in these movies. If you don't, it's like, what the hell is the point of making it? If Wolverine, for example, not saying that this happened, but if Wolverine, for example, didn't, let's say, have most of his powers for a whole movie, at the end of that movie, damn it, he better be berserker barraging everything. Like, I want to see him destroy everything if we went through all that. The Hulk, if it was Bruce Banner in control of the Hulk and he's talking and doing science and all this stuff, that's boring. Abomination just shows up and starts tearing everything down. I want to see Hulk smashing some shit. I never felt Spider-Man. Yeah, he's done the webs, but you'll see in the movie, it's not the finesse, the ownership, the knowing, and the skill set that we're used to seeing not only in the movies, but also in the comics and the cartoon adaptations. Somebody's gonna say they are trying to gear their content towards a younger crowd to appeal to that type of audience, just like they did with Spider-Man or Ultimate Spider-Man in the comics. But the difference is, with that argument, he still knew what he was doing. Anytime he put on that mask, he turned into Spider-Man. Like, I know what I'm doing, Spider-Man. I've been doing this for a while, Spider-Man. I know what I can and can't do, Spider-Man. Finesse Spider-Man. I'm talking trash while I'm doing it. Cracking jokes while I'm doing it. I'm not panicking, but that's what we see a lot in this movie. The suit, while it was cool, it was like over the top. It didn't really feel like a Spider-Man suit. It looked it, had the components. By all means, they made it work, I guess, intellectually? I don't know. I felt like there should have been a middle or hybrid jump to the suit that Tony Stark gives Spider-Man. Even if this is the first, I feel like there should have been a middle or a first draft that Peter actually made of the traditional Spider-Man suit that we see in this movie. And maybe Tony have redesigned it, but not so much in an obvious way. And as you'll see, the suit has, as you already seen in the previews, it's got all these Iron Man type characteristics. Iron Man gadgets and Iron Man things, and you know, we've got Friday that talks to him. All in all, the big reason I didn't like that is because, one, you know, it didn't have a Spider-Man feel. It had more of an Iron Man feel. And then two, it didn't give room for Peter Parker or Spider-Man to seem like he was growing as a hero, Spider-Man, that later joined the Avengers. Not Spider-Man is just getting started with the Avengers. I would have liked to see the version of the suit that we have in this movie, but it being made by Peter Parker. Maybe not the one with the mechanical eyes and all the designs and the legs and stuff, but a similar version to the one that we know that Tony Stark maybe later on would have enhanced. When he was actually in the Marvel Universe, in the comics, when he came to the Civil War graphic novel, Spider-Man had been Spider-Man for a long time. He knew what he was doing. He was already established. He had fought the villains. He had a name. So it wasn't a thing where he was just a sidekick. And that's what you get in this movie. Next, the liberties that were taken with this movie. Like, dude, keep the components there, man. If you guys look at IMDb or Google the cast, you'll see some of these cast members that I'm talking about regarding these roles. Now, if you're gonna change the look of a character, that's cool. But make sure it fits the character. We are telling stories that have already been made here. Let's stick with the characters. If I get casted for a Flash Thompson, I better look like Flash Thompson. Even if you change the race. My boy RJ and Power Rangers the movie was a little skeptical at first of him being Billy, but they stayed true to the character. Even though they took some liberties, he was still a nerd, he was still a genius, he had a little trouble connecting with everybody else in a regular way, but he was still Billy. Here, some of these characters don't even line up with the description. Like, who the hell called that? Fire them. What? So, when you see the characters that they're gonna drop in here or they reveal who they are, you're gonna be like, what? And for anybody that's like, oh, that was cool, you're drinking the Kool-Aid way too much, man. Like, dial back on it. I felt like they were really focusing way too much on Iron Man, Tony Stark, the Marvel Cinematic Universe to make him fit in there appropriately. They've belittled Spider-Man to me, and I really don't like it. I feel like he can bring way more to the table, and I feel like fans are going to gravitate to this naturally because of the marketing ploy. Just because he's not with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he's in there with the big shots. Now people are just going to use that as a crutch for the film, a crutch for the franchise. And I don't think that's fair. I saw the movie like a week and a half before it was released during an early screening, and a lot of people were naturally excited about it as it was over. I was personally pissed just because I didn't feel it did Spider-Man a justice. And I asked a couple people, why are you excited? Outside of the brand new freshness of the movie and Marvel Cinematic Universe, if that wasn't there, because they were kind of bashing my movie. I love Spider-Man too, Andrew Garfield. I love him because he really understood the character. He brought the New Yorker. He understood Spider-Man. He brought it and delivered. He brought the finesse and the effortless feel that Spider-Man has when he's doing his thing. The acting was superb. In those stories, the seriousness was there because Spider-Man does have a seriousness. And I just felt like it was attempted here, but it just didn't land like the other movies. Alright, outside of the new excitement of a new movie, why are you excited? Matter of fact, I asked those guys that didn't really like Amazing Spider-Man 2, if you had to take all the Marvel Cinematic Universe out of this movie, no Tony Stark, no Iron Man, no ploy to the Avengers, it's based off of the content alone in the movie as a Spider-Man film, would you think that it was better than the previous Spider-Man movies, or at least even the Amazing Spider-Man 2? After I gauged it that way and they took inventory of what they just watched, I only asked 3, but they were like, no. One guy told me no. Actually, matter of fact, not even close. Absolutely not. He's like, that's a good point. You have a new movie, a different movie, and it's gonna be received, I think, just because of what it is, by a lot of people in a great way. But for those of you that are a little bit more like me and kind of putting a little bit more responsibility on the producers, may not be your favorite movie. But if you enjoyed this video, found it was helpful, go ahead, like it, share it, comment in below, and make sure to subscribe. Make sure to check out Spider-Man Homecoming this weekend in theaters, July 7th. D-Coney is